Kính thưa quý vị, trước mặt của tôi là ông BONTA, tức là ông là Bộ trưởng Tư pháp của California. Hôm nay ở trên cái event này thì tôi gặp được ông thì có thể hỏi ông một số câu chuyện liên quan tới cái chính sách của California. Tuy nhiên thì cho tôi hỏi được bằng tiếng Anh, rồi một lát tôi sẽ dịch qua tiếng Việt. Xin quý vị thông cảm cho. Hello, Mr. AG of California, Attorney General from California, BONTA. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Excited to be here.
So, very good for me for the opportunity today for ask you some of the California policy, especially because I was in California for 30 years. So, in right now, I believe that we have a challenge like a high crime and the high crime in California. So, how we can prevent the high crime for the future? Can you explain for our audience?
Yeah. Well, let me just first talk about crime in California. There's some increases in some crimes in some places, and if you look at the overall crime rates, we're at one of the historic lows, actually. But it doesn't change the fact that we have brazen crimes, and any increase in any crime is a problem. Crime is always a problem, especially when there's victims and people who are hurt. So we need to always do what's most effective to address our crime. And what is most effective is to arrest people and hold them accountable when they commit crime. And all the data shows that the thing that will deter people from committing crime is if they believe they will be arrested if they commit crime. It's less the severity of the punishment. So people don't think if I get arrested and convicted, I can serve 5 years, that's no problem, but I just can't do 10 years. They don't think that. They don't want to be arrested at all. So it's important to hold people accountable and have a proportionate level of accountability, punishment for whatever it is that they do, but consistently hold people accountable when they commit crime, whether it be organized retail crime, fentanyl, human trafficking, hate crimes, gun crimes, you name it, violent crime. We need to hold people accountable.
Because that's one of the reasons of the Californian people, they exodus California. Because I believe it's almost million of people in 3 or 4 years they left California because the high crime, the high living costs. So the main thing is the people says because we change the law, like a Nobel law and something, you reduce the punishment. That's why they have a high crime. What are your opinion?
Well, a couple things. To the extent some people are moving from California to other places, the evidence that I'm aware of largely says that it's because of the cost of living in California. It's too expensive to live here. Housing is too expensive. Prices are too high for too many. And so a lot of the folks who are leaving are middle class folks or lower income folks who just can't afford it. So one of the things I'm doing is helping make California more affordable, helping spur the building of more housing by enforcing housing production laws. So more housing is built, prices will go down, more people can buy homes and live that dream of home ownership. So that's part of it. I don't know what everyone's decision is, who makes a decision. There are also people coming from all over the nation and all over the world to California because California is the greatest state in the nation.
But 30 years ago, everybody want to come to California. It's a dream. But right now, look like it's not a dream anymore because the people, they said, when they move out, they said, okay, because unsafe for my kid in the school, unsafe for me in the community because the high crime, the human traffic, and like you say, what all the stuff.
Yes.
So, what your opinion to reduce everything to bring back like California like 30 years ago?
Yeah. Well, look, I think California is the greatest state in the nation and the greatest nation in the world today, right now. This is the place where that gave me everything when I came from the Philippines here and gave me an opportunity to go to great California public schools, to have my career, to raise my kids, to pursue public service, and I want to make that true for everybody. And I know it might not be what everyone believes is their epitome of a dream, and we have challenges. Part of being great is acknowledging when you can improve, where you're falling short of your expectations. And housing is one of those areas. Addressing crime is one of those areas. Addressing guns, protecting our freedoms, protecting consumer protections, consumer rights, constitutional rights, civil rights, all important. It's all part of it.
When we reduce the punishment for the crime, that's why the high crime is coming up. So, do you believe that we have to touch with the criminal, touch with the people, even if it's the non-violent crime? Because right now we reduce the punishment for the non-violent crime. So that's why it's create
I think when you look at crime, almost everybody universally will say there's a whole variety of different crimes. There's serious crimes, violent crimes, and there's more minor crimes that not every crime should be treated the same, but they are crimes. And so whatever the crime is, people need to be arrested.
Look like a burglar or a trip or you like storm into the superstore. And
Those are crimes. They should be arrested for them.
Yeah, but
yes.
you know what? That's because they're not violent. So they can you can bet on Nobel bill, the Nobel law. So they can release tomorrow, and they repeat again. They repeat again.
There's a lot of pieces to what you're saying. First of all, they're crimes. Misdemeanors are crimes.
Yeah.
And anyone who thinks that crimes under a certain theft under a certain amount is not a crime, they're just wrong. It's theft. So it's a crime, and the punishment is different, but it is still a crime. And so my view has always been hold people accountable for the crime they committed. If they committed a misdemeanor, hold them accountable for the punishment that goes with a misdemeanor. If they committed a felony, the same thing. And the folks that you're talking about, people involved in organized retail crime, are very often in felony world. The crimes they're committed, the amounts that they're stealing, the acts that they're engaged in are felonies. I just had a press conference earlier this week that involved exactly what you're talking about. People who are involved in organized retail crime, they were felonies. We charged them with almost 50 felonies because of their conduct, the number of incidents, and they need to be held accountable for that. When it comes to bail, every county has their own rules set by judges. Bail is still the law of the state of California. There is bail, and people generally need to pay a certain amount if they want to bail out. That's been the law for decades and remains the same in California generally, but each county can determine the amounts of bail for each crime. It's called a bail schedule.
But that's because you know what? Because they are non-violent crime, and then they don't need to pay the bail, and they can release tomorrow, and they get the paper for the court or something. But they never show up. The truth is they never show up.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole set of crimes where you are required to come to court, but you're not held in custody. And people who are some people who are held in custody before their criminal proceedings, they can pay bail and leave. So that's common. That's been in our system for decades. It's a fundamental part of our system that not everybody is held in jail until their trial date or until a disposition, or a conviction, or another disposition on their case. And so when folks are not showing up for court when they're required to, we need to make sure that people go out and find them, or law enforcement finds them and brings them in to hold them accountable for what they've done. You're not allowed to just decide you don't want to go to court and not be held accountable. Then there becomes there's an opportunity for law enforcement to go bring you in, and there's another violation because you failed to show up to court as you were required to.
So you are the AG of California. So what do you recommend for the Assembly, Senate in California? They can pass some bill so make it touch and more punishment for the crime, even if the violent or non-violent. What do you suggest?
I think it's worth looking at the different accountability for different crimes and considering whether everything is proportionate and appropriate. I think a lot of people focus on punishment, but that's not the answer generally. The data shows it. The evidence shows it. More punishment is not the answer. Arresting people and holding them accountable when they commit a crime and giving them the proportionate punishment for what they did is what will stop crime, what will deter crime. So minor crimes are crimes. Arrest people for minor crimes, hold them accountable for that crime. Oftentimes, if you hold someone accountable for a minor crime, they don't decide later to do something more serious. So you're nipping it in the bud and preventing more serious crimes from happening later. But you have to arrest people. You can't not arrest people when they commit a crime.
That's why I said, okay, California right now we have 39 million people. So the crime or the people making the crime, even felony and misdemeanor, they are minority. We cannot base on minority to apply to the majority, because all the majority is the people they live hardworking. Now we reduce the punishment, give the minority a second chance at something. So we make it dangerous for our community. Do you think?
No, I think for sure that any rises in crime anywhere, including some of the brazen crimes that we're seeing, walking in to retail stores and stealing and walking right out.
Yep.
Like those are crimes, and so law enforcement needs to arrest them. Prosecutors need to prosecute those crimes. That's the answer. That's always been the answer to how we address accountability after someone commits a crime. Now, there's a whole bunch of other things we can do on the front end to prevent crime, to provide other opportunities, investments in communities, addressing poverty, giving more jobs, job training, education, healthcare. All of that helps create safer communities too. But today, when someone's committing a crime, they need to be held accountable as an individual for their decision to commit a crime.
But I think we have to empower for the law enforcement. Right now, law enforcement look like they got less power to control the crime. So you are the AG, so what you can fight for the law enforcement, for them more power to shut down the crime or whatever.
Law enforcement throughout the state of California, throughout the nation generally, are authorized and imbued with the power to arrest people. They are trained peace officers who are given that unique authority in our society. And so that's their job, that's what they do. They have that power now, it was never taken away. And I'm always encouraging our brave men and women who wear the badge and don the uniform and go out and risk their safety and their lives to keep our families and communities safe, to hold people accountable when they commit crime. That's what they signed up for, that's what their job is, and that's what my job is on my law enforcement team as well. We are side by side, we are in the same mission, we are doing the same role, and we need to team up and work together. I need to have the back of our local law enforcement, and they need to have the back of my DOJ, our federal partners, our law enforcement partners throughout the state. Together, we can help hold people accountable and make our communities more safe. But it's not just arresting and prosecuting, although that is an important piece of it. It's also those investments.
I just talked to the policeman today. He said when they see something dangerous, when they pull out the gun, they have the 1.5 second to take out the gun, and 1.5 seconds to think about it because on the rule, on the regulation. So they have to think about it because they have to write a report when they pull out a gun someone to put a gun on someone. That's why they said they don't want to be a police because too much regulation for the police, and they cannot. They feel like they not enough power to control the gang or to control the people violent or the crime. That's what they told me.
Look, law enforcement has an incredibly difficult job, a job that is necessary in our society. So to all of our brave men and women in law enforcement, thank you for what you do, for serving our communities, for keeping us safe. I believe in you, support you. We need you in our society to keep us safe and to do your job. And many of the decisions that are part of law enforcement are split second. Like you said, things are dynamic and happening rapidly, and law enforcement needs to think about their own safety, the safety of their community that they are protecting and serving. And that's why they have the training that they have. That's why they have the tools and the equipment. That's why they have the teams that they're a part of to do their job. It's a hard job. And so we must support our law enforcement to do that job, do it well, do it constitutionally, do it within all the rules and the laws of our community, and to keep us safe.
Yeah, that's why he said 3 seconds. They take about 3 seconds to think about when they put a gun out. And he said 3 seconds is a 6 bullet. They can get in 6 bullet. What do you think?
They can get what?
6 bullet in the body. Okay, when they shoot them.
Yeah, no, exactly. It happens fast, and
yeah,
so that's why they're armed. That's why they have the right to defend themselves.
That's why
and defend others.
1.5 seconds for take out a gun, and 1.5 seconds to think about do we have to take out a gun or not.
Right.
That's why there's 3 seconds before they make a decision, and then they can be shoot. That's why they told that's very hard for the law enforcement to reduce the crime because they have a lot of regulation.
Yeah.
So work on by AG. You can work to fight for them, to give them empower.
Yes, we are. I am. We've gotten them more funding, more training, more support, more equipment, taking things off their plate that others can do that they don't need to do.
Take out the regulation.
I don't think it's taking out the regulations.
Why not?
Because it's an important. They have the ability to take life, and so it needs to be done with responsibility. And
they do.
The law provides them the ability to use lethal force, and that is appropriate. That is the power and the authority that they're given. But removing regulations, I don't think is unnecessary regulation.
Because
sure,
you put more money.
But regulations that help keep constitutional police practicing is very important. Our communities deserve to be safe. They deserve to be treated with respect and dignity, with constitutional practices and practices that honor the civil rights of everyday people like me and you and our communities, and to be safe. And so it's a very difficult job that law enforcement has, and that's why we need to support them in that difficult job.
But when we support them, we support the money, put more fund, more training to hire people, whatever. But you know what they need is the regulation, very simple for them when they acting, to protect our community and prevent the crime. That's the main point they want, not about more money, more fund or training. The main thing is they want empower because they can shut down the crime anytime. And right now is the regulation is very hard for them. That's what the police told me, a sheriff told me. And sometimes they said they want to quit the job because they not enough power to control in the community for the crime.
Yeah. Look, I have law enforcement officers that work for me, that are part of my team at the Department of Justice. They're peace officers. They go out every day, they execute special operations, investigations, they do surveillance, and they take down some of the most violent criminals in the state of California. I'm proud of them. We need them. They're important. I support them. I have their back. I fought for them to get increased pay because they deserve it. And I will continue to support them. And I will continue to also hold them to a high standard. It is necessary to be held to a high standard when you have the power to take life and use lethal force. We need to have the right guidelines. So what you're talking about in terms of regulations, I think specifics are important. If there are certain regulations that are unnecessary, add no value, and only create obstacles for law enforcement, sure, let's consider removing them. If they are important regulations that strike the balance between the safety and lives and livelihood of the community, as well as the officer's duties and authority, then those might not be things we want to change. But I'm always open to helping strike the right balance when it comes to public safety, civil rights and constitutional rights, but we must always balance them responsibly.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bond.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Good to see you.
Appreciate. Và kính thưa quý vị, đó là cái câu chuyện của tôi với lại ông Bộ trưởng Bộ Tư pháp của California. Và trong câu chuyện của tôi thì tôi có hỏi ổng về tình trạng tội ác của California, khiến cho gần 1 triệu người đã phải rời khỏi California bởi vì tình trạng tội ác cao. Thì ổng nói rằng thì ổng cũng giải thích là ok, cũng có người ra người vô rồi, vấn đề tội ác thì cái con số nó vẫn lên xuống mỗi một năm như vậy. Thì cái mà tôi nói rằng là cái vấn đề là cảnh sát chúng ta không có nhiều quyền, cảnh sát của chúng ta không có nhiều cái quyền lực để mà kiểm soát cái đội tội phạm, và cái mức độ phạt tội phạm lại quá nhẹ đi. Thì tôi hỏi ông ta có cố gắng để mà tranh đấu cho cái cảnh sát có thêm quyền lực, và thứ hai giảm bớt những cái quy tắc khó khăn cho cảnh sát, và thứ ba là phải tăng cái mức án và tăng cái mức trừng phạt cao hơn. Chứ bây giờ những cái tội như misdemeanor, tức là những cái tội mà tiểu hình, hay là những cái tội trọng tội gọi là felony á, thì cái mức án nó quá nhẹ đi, và những tên tội phạm đó họ vẫn tiếp tục phạm tội. Thì ổng cũng đã giải thích, và ổng nói là cá nhân ổng thì ủng hộ cho những nhân viên công lực và tất cả mọi thứ. Do đó thì đó là cái câu chuyện của tôi với lại sẵn ổng có mặt ở đây, tôi phỏng vấn ổng để cho khán giả biết rõ hơn về quan điểm của một ông Bộ trưởng Tư pháp của tiểu bang California. Cảm ơn tất cả khán giả rất là nhiều, và chúng ta sẽ có gặp trong những chương trình kế tiếp. Mến chào.